What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. As you see, I'm on the road today. Figured the weather's kind of gloomy, a little windy today, so I figured today would be the perfect video to get into what is the weather really like here in Arizona and how does it actually affect your way of living. Most people have the stigma of Arizona's just hot all year round, which really isn't the case. As you see, I'm wearing a jacket. But let's chat about the weather and let's get into that. All right, guys. So right now, as of this video shooting, we're in the first month of the year. So we're January, and right now the temperature outside, according to the thermostat on the truck, is 64 degrees. I moved here from Utah, and so Utah obviously has a huge difference in weather. I mean, in Utah we would go from having rain to sunshine to snow to rain again to sunshine again to sleet all in one day. Here it's a little bit different, but when we were living up in Utah, a lot of the jokes were that Arizona is just hot all year round and it's just unbearable. Nobody wants to move to Arizona because of the heat. Is that really true? No. My wife grew up here, and so that's one of the reasons that brought us back, and we haven't regretted it since. But as far as the weather in January, you're gonna be staying between probably 60 to 70s. Yesterday it did hit up into the 70s, and I did play in a soccer game at night when it hit into the mid 50s while we were playing soccer. So that's one of the pluses of the cooler weather, though, is activities in the winter time are at full force. I mean, playing soccer in winter was not an option up in Utah, and so doing it down here is awesome, and it's a lot of fun, and the weather permits that. You can expect to see a difference on your electricity bills. You are given an option to pick how you want to be charged on your electricity bill. What we do is we do a peak plan. So between the hours of 3 to 6 p.m., they charge us a lot more per kilowatt. And so they recommend that you limit a lot or all of your usage of electricity during those hours to save money. When it's not in that 3 to 6 p.m. time frame, then we're charged less per kilowatt than a normal base plan, which they do have available. You can choose a plan that just gives you a basic charge, but it does change per season, and that's different from what we were used to. Depending on the season you're in, you're going to be charged different kilowatts per the hour or per program that you choose. Once it starts warming up, you're going to start to see your bill increasing. So around March, April, that's usually when we start seeing the heat increase slightly, and your bill is affected. But everybody knows, and I've talked about it in previous videos, that if you are moving here, you're likely going to see an increase on your electricity bill, that is. So not too much of a surprise, but how does the weather actually affect your way of living? I'm going to talk on a personal level here. In the summertime, I still play soccer. I play soccer year round, and so do my kids. It does get very, very hot in the summertime, but we try and limit our play to early mornings or late nights when the sun is down. I have played at night in 110 degree weather, and then our kids have played in the morning time when it's 105. It's hot, it really is. But one thing that people don't mention moving here is you get acclimated to that weather. The first year that we lived here was horrible, to be honest, because we were not acclimated at all. And so going outside was pretty much unbearable for us in the summertime. But now that we've been here for a while, we're pretty acclimated, and it's still hot, but it's bearable at this point in time. And so that's one of the things that a friend of ours that moved here before us used to say, look, you acclimate to the weather just like you do the snow in other parts of the country, which is true. However, I would say, based on living in Utah to here in Arizona, it's easier to acclimate to the hotter weather than it is the cooler weather, because once you get a point in the temperature, let's say after 105, it's just hot. And it doesn't matter if it's 105, 110, 115, all you feel is heat. And so that's what you have to acclimate to. In Utah, there was different variations of cold. I mean, you had icy winds, you had just freezing cold temperatures, you had sunny days that were still freezing, and that's hard to get used to over time. Do you really go outside in the summertime or the wintertime? If you're living in a cold state, are you really outside most of the time during the winter? No, I wasn't. The only time I'd ever really go outside was when I would go up to the mountains and go snowboarding. Other than that, you're just, when you're driving to the office, you're getting out of the warm car to go to a warm building. And so the same applies here. You do most of your activities that you want to do outside in the mornings and at nights to alleviate that heat. And you're going from air-conditioned building to air-conditioned car, and it's easy to acclimate to. If I'm being realistic, here is not green at all. I'm just looking around me right now, and you might be able to see my background as well, but it's very, very brown. And so there's a lot of rock, there's a lot of desert landscaping. Plants have a harder time growing in the heat here, and so you don't see a lot of grass. Our grass really dies out during the summertime. Our wintertime grass, winter rye, is growing right now, and is very green, but it does die out during the summertime. And you'll see that in most places here. You won't see lush greenery in most places. I like the desert look, and a lot of people do as well if they're living here, but some people don't. So that's something that I didn't really consider before moving here, was the change of scenery. We were moving from a very lush green landscape with mountains surrounding us to this area where there are still mountains. It's just not as prominent, and it's not as green. And so it was quite the adjustment moving here because of that reason. But then again, we're used to it by now, and it's not a big issue. But if greenery is a huge issue to you, then I would severely think about if you can live with or without that. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope that helps you a little bit more decide if the weather here is a huge factor in your move to Arizona, or if that's really anything you've been thinking about. Hopefully it's on your radar now. Like I've said in the past, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. Again, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.